And the game you've all been waiting for. You've got Texas A&M at 3-6, going down to the Plains in Auburn to take on the Auburn Tigers at 3-6 without a head coach. Cadillac Williams had them playing, I don't know, energetically, we'll say, at Mississippi State, and they almost pulled that out. You saw a water boy onside kick in that game from Mississippi State where they just kicked it off of somebody, and the first time I've ever seen that happen. But this is a game. If Texas A&M gets Connor Weigman back, they have a chance. As an Ole Miss fan, root for Texas A&M to win this game because you need Texas A&M to at least be 5-6 when they take on LSU and be playing for a bowl game. So, boss man, how does this game set up for you? This is a weird one.
I don't know. I hope nobody's watched any of my videos talking about Texas A&M this year because they have all been wrong. Last week, I thought that Devon Achane would get going. I was right about that. I also thought that Jimbo Fisher would not abandon the run in the second half like he had the previous week. He abandoned the run yet again after Devon Achane went for 120 yards again in the first half. So I got to lean, though, again on Devon Achane. If you're Texas A&M's offense, Weigman coming back is good. I think that they will be able to get stuff going in the passing game with Weigman back. It's going to depend really to me on the offensive line. Texas A&M's offensive line last week, they were without three of their starters. They're still going to be without two of their starters. One potentially is going to be coming back from illness. If the one comes back, I believe that's going to be Cam Dewberry. A&M's offensive line has a fighting chance. If it's the backup again to Dewberry, A&M could have serious issues, and Weigman may be neutralized, and it may not matter. However, Weigman does get the ball out quicker than Haynes King does. We saw that in his one and only start. Haynes King tends to kind of hold on to the ball too long.
And that gets the ball out quicker than Haynes King.
That's yeah, snail. Just you can name all these ones. Yeah. So I do think though that A&M will be able to get the passing game going. I think that maybe some of that juice that Auburn had last week may run out a little bit here this week. I think A&M is going to get a ton of guys back on the defensive side of the ball as well from illness. From last week, Jalen Jones will be back. He was kicked out of the game last week for a targeting call early in the game. They sorely missed him after that. So at the end of the day, I thought Auburn would run out of steam last week. I think that they're going to run out of steam this week. I think I've been saying it all year. At some point, A&M is going to put it together. And they almost put it together against Ole Miss, right? And almost got over that hump with Connor Weigman. And so I think that this week they can get over that hump with Connor Weigman coming back with so much of those guys who are talented coming back on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, Hammer, against A&M, Ole Miss ran for 390 yards. Against Auburn, they ran for like 440 yards. So this has to be a Devon Achane Tank Bigsby game, right? Both teams should be trying to do the same thing, right?
100%. You nailed it. Ole Miss ran for 390, and last week Florida ran for 290 on A&M. So A&M has been bad against the run all year, especially as of late. Now, again, there was the flu bug or whatever that may have played a role in that, but at the end of the day, stopping the run is not that hard, right? You just have to get your run fits right, and frankly, you have to want it. You have to shed blocks. You have to get off blocks, and so far, A&M has not, and they've been steamrolled in that department. So if they cannot stop the run this weekend, then Auburn has a very good chance to win the game because, as you said, that's basically all Auburn has is Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter. I think last week against Mississippi State, they attempted 22 passes and completed 7 of them. That was despite being down 24-6 at halftime. So even down 18 points, Cadillac Williams knew I'm not throwing the ball here because it's not going to work. So we're just going to keep running the ball and hopefully things open up, which they did. This week, that's what it comes down to me. A&M has got to stop the run and force Robbie Ashford to beat them. And then same thing for Auburn, right? Is yes, Weigman looked good in the one start that he had, but he's still young. So if you're Auburn, that's your game plan. Stop Achane, get pressure on Weigman, try to force him to make mistakes, and make the young kid beat you. And if he does, if he wins a night game in Jordan-Hare against a sold-out crowd, then you tip your hat to him.
Yeah, Auburn's a weird place at night, especially for a true freshman. Boss man, how do you think this game's going to go? What's your prediction?
So as I mentioned, I like A&M in this game. I do think, though, Hank touched on it with the run game. We've talked about A&M in the past few weeks, especially last week. I mentioned that, Anthony Richardson in the running game could be A&M's Achilles heel. Well, last week he ran for a 60-yard touchdown on a scramble and had some other good scrambles as well. I forget his exact total in rushing, but he had a TD. He had 2 TDs and I believe close to 100 yards rushing, if not over. So Jackson Dart, the week before that, had 95 yards rushing and 1 or 2 TDs as well. So, yes, A&M needs to stop the rushing attack of Auburn. I don't believe that they're going to be able to get anything going in the passing game. However, that may not matter if A&M cannot stop on third downs and on scrambles, which Robbie Ashford is dangerous with. So that's what they got to be looking out for. You got to hope that some of these guys coming back will be able to lock that down, and that A&M will finally put a spy who can actually keep a quarterback within in front of them, which has not been happening here in the back half of the year. So that's one thing to watch out for that could really hurt A&M. But in this one, I just like them to lean on Devon Achane, and as I mentioned, I think that Connor Weigman gets the ball out faster than Haynes King. I think that Weigman is able to get it going in the passing game, and I think that A&M wins this one. I think the spread makes sense, but I haven't done it all night. I haven't gone against the spread all night, so I'm going to take A&M to cover.
Okay. Hammer, what do you say in this game?
Man, I think I'm going to go with A&M as well. That's probably more based on a hope and a prayer. I will say this game scares the heck out of me as an A&M fan for reasons I sort of laid out before, but you've got a night game at Jordan-Hare. I don't know why it's a night game, as these teams are 3-6. Both have lost 5 in a row. But it's a night game nonetheless. Last I checked, it's sold out. So the Barners are pumped up. They're pumped up for Cadillac Williams. They're coming out to support their team, which, by the way, is awesome. Shout out to the Auburn faithful for doing that in a extremely down year. So the environment's going to be rocking, even though neither one of these teams are good. But I just think at the end of the day, really, I think with Weigman in there, he gives A&M a bit of another dimension that Auburn doesn't have, as we've laid out. Ashford cannot throw the ball. Weigman has at least shown the ability to do that. Will he be able to do it for a full 4 quarters in a hostile environment? I hope so. And that's what I'm banking on here, because I know DJ Durkin is not a bad football coach. I don't think he's had a very good year, but this defensive game plan is not rocket science. You just need to stop Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter, and you will win the game, honestly, no matter what your offense does, because Auburn can't throw the ball and beat you. So I'm hoping he comes out with a decent plan to stop the run, and that Weigman is able to hit some plays down the field, and they can lean on A-Chain for most of the game and get out there with a win. But I think it's going to be very close. I think this is a field goal game one way or the other. I think the spread is pretty much right on the money, basically a pick 'em, because really anything can happen with all the different variables that are going on both sides in this game. So picking A&M, but I think it's like a 24-21 type of a game that, again, could go either way.
All right, Texas A&M at Auburn Saturday night at 6:30 Central on the SEC Network. Auburn is favored by 1.5. The over/under is at 48.5. It should be interesting to see. Texas A&M could win this game and move on. The winner still has a shot of a bowl. The loser of this game, their season really is basically over. Anyway, for Hammer and Boss Man, thank you very much for tuning in this week. This has been the Biscuits and SEC's Game Capsule Previews on social media. Thank you guys very much.